Some people say that Jesus was either a liar, a lunatic, or he was who he said he was. When you read the four Gospels in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I like to use four criteria as far as their accuracy. One is internal consistency. You've got four guys, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, telling the story of Jesus's life from birth to death, and they are all consistent. They all tell the same story, maybe from a different viewpoint with a few different details added in and here and there, but they are consistent. That's number one. Number two is literary style. It's not written like a fairy tale with wink and blink and a nod that goes skipping down a path to the castle. No, it is a historical narrative, kind of written like a newspaper writer would write a factual story. The third thing is archaeological evidence. Everything in the Bible that they talk about can be verified. Places. There's a real Jerusalem. There's a real Israel. There's a real Judah. The people in the Bible you can tie back to historical narratives of who was in power at the time when they talk about kings or rulers. And then we're unearthing archaeological evidence all the time. And in fact, there was an entire chapter of Isaiah that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so it's just amazing the overwhelming evidence, archaeological evidence that supports the four Gospels. And then the fourth thing is, 2,000 years ago, you've got these four Gospel writers. And as soon as they wrote things down, things were copied and sent out all over the world. We have over 5,200 Greek manuscript copies that we can look at. We've got 10,000 copies of the New Testament in other languages like Latin and Coptic. And then you could even go back to the early church fathers who quoted the New Testament in their sermons. And they have 30,000 quotes that even just putting those together, you could pretty much reassemble the New Testament. And so no document from antiquity can touch the New Testament Gospels in manuscript evidence. Every bit of evidence points them to being historically accurate. And Jesus claimed to be God in the flesh. This is why the Jews wanted to kill him, because he kept making references that he was equal to God. And so I hope that you will not just believe pastors or me or anybody else, but go read the evidence for yourself. Search and find. In fact, there's an author, Lee Strobel, who wrote a book called The Case for Christ. He was a writer for the Chicago Tribune. He was also an attorney, and he set out to prove Christianity false. He was an atheist, and his wife began going to church and became a Christian. And so he used every bit of his power to go research, to travel over to Israel, to talk to rabbis, to research so that he could come back and prove. And I forget how many years it took of gathering evidence, but at the end of his investigative journey, he had no other conclusion than to say that Jesus is real. It's the case for Christ. And I think it was made into a movie several years ago. So pick up that book if you're still questioning. Read and investigate for yourself and find out who you say Jesus is. Because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And nobody comes to the Father except through me. And you can believe those words. Have a great day.